When it comes to average snowfall in America, we rank third overall for the amount of snowfall we get every year, behind Japan and Canada. Some places in America hardly get any snow at all, and some areas of the US get a ton. Snow can be a lot of fun. The kids don't have to go to school, and you don't have to go to work. And then, when the party's over, snow is really fun to clean up too. You should actually probably enjoy the snow now, because, global warming means we might not see much snowfall in the future. Haha, JK. Since winter's coming and lots of places are starting to get snowfall, we thought we'd get out the tape measure and see which states get the most snowfall of all. Alrighty then. I think it's appropriate that for this video, we travel around for our snow show in a snowmobile. Also, because I hate putting chains on. It's the worst thing ever. So off we go, looking so darn cool in the process. Our first stop is in Wisconsin. The Badger State gets 45 inches of snow a year. That's almost 4 feet. To put that into perspective, go get a ruler and hold it up 4 times. That's 4 feet. For additional perspective, the state with the least amount of snowfall each year is Florida, which gets 0.01 inches of snow each year. A lot of people think Hawaii doesn't get any snow, but that's not true. Some parts of Hawaii get a decent amount of the white stuff. There's a handful of 10,000 tall volcanoes here which get up to 8 inches of snow every year, but it melts after a few days. However, most of Hawaii hasn't seen snow in decades, and many areas here may never see snow again for a long, long time. Here in Wisconsin, it's not uncommon for kids to be trick-or-treating in snow. Happens all the time. The average snowfall here hits about November 9th, and sometimes snow begins in mid-September. Of course, the Green Bay Packers are used to it. They always play important games in snow. But if you live in Wisconsin, you're not immune to large amounts of snowfall. It's just part of living in Wisconsin. We're gonna hop back on the sled and go to our next stop along our snow tour of America and arrive in Wyoming, somewhere in the Midwest, or West, or North? Where is Wyoming anyway? Here in the Cowboy State, they get about 51 inches of the wet stuff each year. Most of the snowfall in Wyoming happens along the western side of the state, since the Rocky Mountains, and specifically Grand Teton section of the Rockies, blocks most of the snow from reaching the state's high plains to the east. In these mountains, they might get 200 inches of snow a year. On the plains, it's closer to 30 inches. But it's the wind that's the big problem in Wyoming. Sometimes the wind is so bad during snowfalls that large drifts form, and it's hard to measure how deep the snow really is. In 1949, Wyoming experienced one of the worst blizzards of all time. It started on January 2nd, as a really nice day. But a surprise 3-day snowstorm hit, and it was so windy and so intense that entire communities were separated from one another for weeks. Several other blizzards followed that winter too. 76 people died that year, and the snow was so deep and packed in that they had to use dynamite to clear the roads. Sorry to get so intense. This is supposed to be a lighthearted video. But off we go to Massachusetts, number 8 on our list, which gets just a teeny bit more snow each year than Wyoming does. If this is how you get the kids ready for school, you might live in Massachusetts. Other signs you're from Massachusetts? People fight over parking spaces on your streets, your dog has trouble going pee all winter, and your Netflix usage spikes during a blizzard. Some parts of the state get a couple feet, but other parts of the state get up to 80 inches. Hey Mappy, what causes such a variation in snowfall accumulation in such a small area like this?
Hey Nick, sorry, Karen and I are snowed in. We can't come to work today. Juan is filling in for us today.
Are you serious, Mappy? Okay. Well, why don't you two make a blizzard baby? Wink, wink. So, Juan, do you know what causes variations in snow accumulation in a somewhat relatively equal meteorological climate?
No say.
Great. All right. Beep, beep. Do snowmobiles have horns? We're going to cross over Connecticut and take this thing down to New York State. It's interesting that Connecticut's surrounded by states that get a lot of snow, but they don't get that much themselves. We'd ask Juan about it, but he's no say today. It seems that on any given day during winter, somewhere in New York, snow is coming down. Syracuse is the snowiest of all New York cities, and is 5th in the world for major cities in terms of average snowfall every year. Syracuse gets about 123 inches, or 10 feet every year. That's because it's so close to Lake Ontario, which produces lake effect snow. It had snowed so much in Syracuse in 1992 that the city approved a resolution that all snowfall would be illegal for the rest of the year. It snowed 2 days later. Buffalo, located next to Lake Erie, gets a lot of snow every year too. In 2004, Buffalo got 7 feet in one day, the third highest amount in the city's history. The blizzard of 1966 hit Rochester, New York like a ton of ice bricks.
It began on January 30th, 1966, but by the time its fury peaked just 1 day later, it had already claimed the dubious title of the worst of all time. Many forced to abandon their cars wherever they could. The city was shut down, as you couldn't go anywhere except by foot.
If you're old enough to remember that blizzard, then you're kinda old. We're off to the winter wonderland that is the state of Michigan, which gets an average of 61 inches of snow each and every year. While this is life in Miami every winter, this is life in Michigan every winter. Yuck. Here's a fun fact. It's said that no two snowflakes are alike, but that's not true. Because in 1988, a scientist in Michigan found 2 identical snow crystals. That's fabulous. While the lower part of the state gets a lot of snow, the upper peninsula might as well be in the North Pole. Actually, that's not even true, because most of Michigan gets more snow than the North Pole does, by about 3 inches. If you live in Michigan, you should have all the latest snow removing gadgets. Stuff like this handy Yooper scooper to get snow off of roofs, or this jet tank snow melter, or this RoboPlow. Now we're getting to some deep stuff. Alaska is our 5th snowiest state, where the average snow depth each year is about 65 inches. Did you know native Eskimos here have more than 50 words for snow? It's true, but don't get all full of yourself, Snow. They also have 1,000 words for a reindeer.
Uber, Uber, Snowball and me keep eyes open. We know we home when we see pole.
Pole? You mean the North Pole, Mr. Snowshoe?
No, totem pole. Oh boy, snow feels so good.
Valdez, Alaska, a small town, is the 2nd snowiest town in America, where because of a weird weather phenomena that involves cold air rushing south into moist air from the Gulf of Alaska, they get about 326 inches of snow every year. But drive 30 miles east of Valdez to Thompson Pass, and you'll find one of the snowiest places on the planet. Thompson Pass gets 550 inches of snow each year, and in the winter of 1952, this region got 974 inches, or 81 feet of snow. That's the snowiest town in the USA, but the snowiest place in the nation is a teeny ranger station on Mount Rainier in Washington State, which gets an astounding 671 inches, or nearly 56 feet per year. During the winter of 1971, this Paradise Ranger Station got 93 feet of snow. Moving on, we come to our 4th snowiest state in the USA, Colorado, which gets an average of 67 inches of snow accumulation each year. But they're used to it here. People in Colorado will wear snow boots to funerals, so you know they'll wear them to job interviews. Colorado's biggest blizzard came in 1913, when 45 inches of snow fell in Denver alone, and unknown amounts fell in the highest elevations of the Rockies.
For the worst series of blizzards in 50 years. Roaring in from the Pacific, the storms have blanketed the countryside and halted all movement. Sometimes you have to dig for 10 feet to reach the roof of a car. With buildings nearly buried, the mailman's work becomes strenuous. Along one highway, a snow depth of almost 20 feet is measured.
Colorado's snow is actually different than the snow in other places. Because of the unique Rocky Mountain landscape and the nearby desert climate, snowfall here is drier and more powdery than snow in other states, which is typically wetter and heavier. Hence, every day in Colorado is a powder day. These facts make me miss Mappy. Mappy, how are you and Mrs. Mappy riding out that storm? What the hell are you wearing? Okay, I'm gonna pretend I did not just see that. I can't get on this snowmobile fast enough to get that image out of my head. What is going on here? We're back in the Northeast once again, and this is where we will remain for the rest of this informative and somewhat racy video. Here in New Hampshire, 71 inches of snow falls every year. You can always tell when someone's from New Hampshire. They have a huge coat on, big ugly boots, a snowblower, and a Subaru. One thing you have to really worry about here in New Hampshire, and in all the New England states, are nor'easter snowstorms. These are tropical storms that form in the Atlantic and move up the East Coast, where they meet cold air. The amount of snow that results can be crippling. Mount Washington in New Hampshire is a notoriously dangerous place, where snowfalls can be 25 feet deep each winter, and where snow gusts can be 161 miles an hour. You don't want to be at the top of Mount Washington when a storm hits. We can barely see the snow is so deep, but we're almost done with our journey. Just to the east of New Hampshire is Maine, which gets on average 77 inches of snow every year. That's a lot. You can bet that every winter day, all 1 million people here in Maine are just waiting in anticipation for the next 12-incher that's bound to come in the next few weeks. You know you're in Maine when you see insanely high stop signs around town. That's because the snow gets so deep here, they have to make road signs taller. Here's a fun fact. Each winter in the US, 1 septillion snowflakes fall to the ground. That's 26 zeros. Alright, we're going to take our snowmobile from Maine and head east, where eventually we come to Vermont, our snowiest state, where about 90 inches of snow comes down every year. It's not even close. Vermont's the snow king of America. In 1970, the whole state of Vermont averaged 318 inches of snow. For the whole state, that's 26 feet. Even as late as Memorial Day, it's not untypical for Vermont to get a dusting. Here's a typical Saturday morning in Vermont, and here's that same afternoon. Yes, Vermont takes the prize for the snowiest of all snows.
Hey Nick, Karen and I had a great time together riding out the snowstorm. Thanks for letting us take the day off.
No biggie, I'm glad to see you two back in love again.
I'm not in love. I just wanted to see him put that funny outfit on.
Okay, you guys are just weird, and I'm glad this video is over. I don't know what's happening here, but we're not leaving you two alone again. Okay, so here they are. The places where people throw snowballs and build snowmen and fall down and break their arms more than anywhere else. And here are the states in America that get the least amount of snowfall every year, where they don't have to pour salt on the sidewalks or put chains on their tires. No surprises here. If you live in Maine, or in any of the other states we talked about, you have it pretty rough for long stretches every year. And if you don't live in a very snowy state, why not lend them a hand and help them dig out every now and then? No? Okay then. The end. If you like the snow, then you should go to Vermont. If you'd like to slide and almost die, that's Vermont. If you like to taste all the flakes, you'll love Vermont. If you're a panda bear, then you probably live in China. Move to Wisconsin and you'll hate it. There's a lot of boring stuff, not a lot of fun. Move to Wisconsin and you'll hate it. There's a lot of boring stuff, not a lot of fun. Their quarterback has a funny mustache. There's a lot of Brewers fans too. People here wear tiny shorts, and they have a lot of pretty lakes, and it's cold. Everybody here ice fishes. If you want to come, then you better not forget your pole. Everybody here ice fishes. If you want to come, then you better not forget your pole. Everybody here ice fishes. If you want to come, then you better not forget your pole. Everybody here ice fishes. If you want to come, then you better not forget your pole. Bam! Bam! Wisconsin! Bam! Wisconsin! Bam! Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.